So, last week we were talking about the faculty and the power of Saddhā. And I spoke about it, the characteristics, its nature, and so on. So tonight we're going to look into a little bit more on the Saddhā, and we're going to see into especially in the balance part of it. But in order to understand the nature of Saddhā, we need to understand the different levels of Saddhā. Because here, in the sense of balancing, then it is not about more or less, It is more of what is suitable and what is not suitable for those occasions. Then that we're going to look into it a little bit more, and we're going to see into it clear. We're going to look into it. Now we're going to share the screen again. Okay. Last week, what did I talk about? Yes, some of the things here. Okay. This is the one that So, resolution and skeptical doubt. Okay. Now, all right. Now, 4 levels of this Saddhā. As I said here, when we begin the development of this Saddhā, usually for most of us, will be first, second, and the third one. We develop from a serene faith, ordinary faith, then you come to a trusting faith, more of a developed type of Saddhā, and then we come to the attainment faith, where it becomes unshakable or unwavering. Then the 4th one, I talked about it a little bit last week also, that this one belongs to the Bodhisattva. And this one, when they have the proclamation by the Buddha, by another Buddha, the past Buddha, then that particular person who asked to become a Buddha, then that person become a Bodhisattva. Become a Bodhisattva. So from there onwards, it's become that type of ongoing or oncoming type of Saddhā, type of faith, and that one will go life after life after life after life after life after life. It's a long journey. So that one is for number 4. So most of the time you're going to look into the first, second, and third. And where the faculty is concerned, then you will come to the second one, and of course also the third one. First one is not really a faculty yet, but it's already, it's already a faith already. But the faculty, as I said, they are more towards the development of the mind. Okay, let's look at the serene faith, the ordinary type of faith. Now, before we look into serene faith, we're going to look into a little bit of what is, this is again to repeat what I've said last week also. That this type of serene faith, that what is the serene faith? This one is placing a confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, which is noble, which is wholesome, and which is real. Noble here because it will ennoble you from where you are. It will develop you spiritually higher, clearer. Wholesome because you are placing an object which is wholesome. It will bring good merits, and it's going to bring a happy result into you. Real here, real means they are in the sense of reality. Whether there's a Buddha or not, For example, if you place your faith in karma, then it doesn't matter whether the Buddha is there or not, because the karma works in reality. Or you place your faith in for example, like right now, you place the faith in the Four Noble Truths. That means you place the faith in the teachings of the Buddha, the Dhamma. You place to it, are they the real? Yes, they are real. They are actually exist. It's just that perhaps for us, we may not able to experience those things yet. But they are there. So what is not? Now, placing a so-called confidence in worldly things, or what is unwholesome and what is not real. Worldly here means like, everyday type of things that you place into those things. Usually, like when you place the things like, for example, this medicine is good for you, because you take it yourself. I mean, there's a certain degree of confidence, not to say there's none, but this is not under faith. It's not under faith. It's not under, in the sense of saddha. You place of something like which is unwholesome, which you may regard it as something wholesome. That also is not right. You believe that, for example, or you have confidence that, for example, if you were to cheat somebody else, then you become a better person, you become richer, and so on. So, for example, those unwholesome act or unwholesome speech, or you lie to people, you swindle others, or this type of things, you put your confidence into it because you think that you have the skills. Or for example, if you're a pickpocketer, you go around, you pickpocket somebody, and that involves tremendous amount of skill. Tremendous amount of skill. I think when I was in France, in Paris, at one time, you go into their MRT, all their trains. All the compartments of the train, it says, beware of the pickpocket. Beware of the pickpocket. Everywhere, beware of the pickpocket. They are so good. They will try to knock you here and there, and then unzip your bag or take something from your pocket without you realizing it. They are skilled, and they believe that, they have confidence in their skill. So this is what I meant is unwholesome. This is not faith. What is not real also is another thing, is that it does not exist. It does not exist in reality. What does not exist in reality? Take for example, Chinese will do. Let us Chinese. We believe in the money god. When it comes to Chinese New Year, we believe in that. We pray to it, but it not real. But devas are real. Maybe other forms of deva are there, but perhaps not this type. Maybe you have a good deva that protect you. But sometimes you're desperate, or your greed become too much, and then therefore you attach to those beliefs and attach to those things, and then you thought that this is something you're going to bring you happiness, which is not. Or sometimes people believe in, or putting their faith and trust into some kind of almighty being, that they are the creator, they are the Brahma, or they are the immortal beings that can not die, this type of thing. These are not real. Now, what is and what is not in everyday life, it is not easy if our wisdom is not sharp. Now, if our wisdom is not sharp, then this is not easy for us to separate them. Now take for example, that this what is and what is not, all of this faith can just mix up now. And it looks like faith. It looks like faith. Take for example, that say you believe in some kind of God. There's some kind of God, this is immortal. There's some kind of God, it is everlasting, permanence, and they have all kinds of power. They have power over you. That means your actions and your life is all, in a way, fated. All right? But then in the teachings of a certain particular type of teaching, they also mention, or he also mentioned, or the religion also mentioned that, okay, doing dana or doing generosity is wonderful because this is a religious a religious thing for you to do. You to keep your sila, to keep your morality. This is also, in a way, it is good. Because this is very good for mankind, for people, and you should be loving to your neighbor, to the animals, things like that. But this one is mentioned by, or is said that by the religious text. By religious text, inside there they have these almighty beings. Then you believe in those things, and in everyday life. These type of people, when they believe in such a thing, they also are very good people. They don't create harm to other beings. They don't create harm, in a way towards themselves. They don't cheat to others. They are quite honest to others. They are hospitable. They are open-handed. In this type of sense. But they believe in something because that text tell them to do so. This is where things becomes muddled. Becomes muddled, and then if you don't have the wisdom to see those things, then you thought that because the front is about the kindness, about the happiness of what the person is having, but you do not know what the behind is, what they believe. So here the type of this type of faith becomes muddled. Now, if you're a person who is sharp and who is wise, who can able to penetrate through looking at these things, then this is how you're supposed to see. For example, if the person do all kinds of sila and dana, in whatever form, in whatever generosity, open-handedness, hospitable, respectful, they are meek and their words are very soothing. Then the wisdom, if we are looking at it with wisdom, then you see that is something wholesome. You must see that is something wholesome. Then when you comes to what is behind the view that is pushing them to do all these type of wholesome deeds, the behind it, which is not real, which is all this creator, all this God, which is they don't exist in reality, then you must able to pinpoint that is not real. That is not real. So this type of people, they have some degree of faith also, in the sense of a wholesome sense, because they believe in wholesome deeds, wholesome action, wholesome speech. That is something wholesome. But they also mix up with something unwholesome. They also mix up in unwholesome. That's why in the everyday life thing, this is all very jumbled up. But for me, and also for those who are able to see through it, and hopefully that y'all can do that, that when you look at life and you look at ordinary type of faith, then this one you have to be able to differentiate them that this is something wholesome, this is not something wholesome. This is good if you can able to distinguish them. Then only your faith become more clearer about others and especially for yourself. Now, this type of those people who have, in a Buddhist circle, Buddhist circle, let's talk about all Buddhists, whether they are Mahayana or Theravada or whatever, or they don't call themselves anything. It doesn't matter. What matters is that those who have faith or the faith is strong. Usually they are the majority. Actually, you go to every religion also the same. The faith is the majority of the people. Majority of the people, the inclination towards faith is stronger compared to other form of qualities of the mind. Which is, if it's a wholesome quality, if they are in the religious circle, then the faith usually, for most people, they have that. Those people with wisdom is less, with less. So now, when you have people, we have more majority is this people with faith. Then therefore, the object of faith, to them it is important. To them this is important because the object of faith or the monuments of faith are things that brings about that faith. It gives them that joy. It gives them that happiness. It gives them that sense of, when you're able to see something tangible, you can able to touch, then it gives them that happiness. That happiness that they have, it leads them, it gives them the condition. And if they are wise enough, it leads them to further mental development. It leads them to further mental development, which is good. But majority of the people, they don't want to go further than that. They are happy of where they are. Then you can see when you go to, especially like a Buddhist temple. Then you go to the Buddhist temple, majority of the people like to do dana, giving, offerings, and so on. Then they do all these things. And that is where the over faith have the potential to come in. When they start over faith, then as I put there, it may lead to unrational attachment or conceit or even wrong view in the future. Let's see what mean by this type of over faith. You see, when you come to the temple, when you go to a temple, when you go to, if before the temple societies when they are open, then when you have function like dana, okay, or like function like you have food fair, charity food fair. Or you have like a blessing ceremony, for example. Or you have like some monks coming, big time monk coming, He comes in, very well-known monks come to the society, this one. Then you will see a lot of people will come. A lot of people. You see, like, for example, Katina or Vesak Day. That also the same thing, People love to come to this type of function and they like to do all this type of, acts of devotion, acts of faith. Which is good, not to say it's bad. It's still good for them, I'm not saying it's bad. Now the thing is that this type of function, you will see that there are a lot of people with a lot of faith. You see a lot of people with a lot of faith there, which is very true. But when it comes to like Dhamma talk, when it comes to like meditation, then you see only a small group of people want it. All this making mental effort, not many people wants to do that. At least on the Dhamma talk, there are more people. But really, when it comes to meditation, it'll be less people already. If you're talking about samatha meditation, then there'll be a lot of people, because samatha meditation is a lot of pleasant happiness. When it comes to vipassana, is the majority. They're going to be the least people want to come for a function. So that you see it again and again, even from the time of the Buddha until now, and also in the future too. So majority of the people, I said, they have a lot of faith. Now this type of faith, it can lead to unrational attachment. And from unrational attachment, it comes to conceit comes to wrong view. So what do you mean by unrational attachment? say this one will do. Say Katina again. Katina or Vesak Day. Now, when people come for a Katina, or Vesak Day, they come in to pray. They come in to offer robes. For example, like in the Katina, they come in, offer robes, offer requisites also to the Sangha members, and also to the temple also. And with that Katina, in the worldly sense, because there'll be funds flowing in to the temple, and then of course the temple can able to maintain themselves, and they can develop, they can build some new buildings or some maintenance work. And nowadays maintenance work is expensive, so they need all the funds to come in to help them, which is in a way, it's good, not to say it's bad. So people have the idea of they want to give, they want to offer for the Sangha, and also to help to, in a way, to grow the sasana, which is wholesome. It's a wholesome thing. But then, this type of function, when it's run by devotees, man, things get bigger and bigger. It starts to hoo-ha already. Hoo-ha already, that means there's also other entertainment starts to come into. Sometimes entertainment, there are dancers also coming in. Sometimes there are shows also coming in. Sometimes there are, especially like in Katina, and I've seen, they start to give a lot of food stall to the people. Then have a lot of food stall to the people. Then that is where the attachments comes in. Over time, because they give this type of entertainment, and then they want to attract people. They want to attract people so that they come, and then they will offer. And then in the meantime, they give them all this type of food and drinks, beverages, entertainment, or even lucky draw or whatever, So they come in to attract devotees. To attract devotees to come in. And usually, like in Malaysia, they like to do it on Sunday. And then like in Katina, how many Sundays can you have? You only have 4 Sundays only you can do your Katina, in a month's time. So they have to attract the devotees, Instead of going to that temple, you come to my temple, That one, Then we all know that. We all know that those things. But the thing is that sometimes certain temple, because of they want to attract people, they have more types of goodies for them to take back, like food especially. And then here is where the food stall over the years become more and more and more. And then the devotees that come in, first of all, they don't think of giving the giving to the sangha, the offerings of robes as sangha, it becomes secondary. And then the food they makan and enjoy and the entertainment and so on becomes the primary. You see what I mean or not? This is happening throughout throughout in Buddhist circle. Because people, most people, they don't meditate. Most people, they don't bother about attachment or greed. They like a little bit of entertainment, and then this entertainment over the years not just entertainment, but also all this food and beverage, everything becomes more and more and more and more and more. It becomes not only more, but it also becomes like, they tapao balik also, they pack and go back. They eat there is not enough, but they take back too. So this is where we begin to lose the faith into attachment. It becomes the mind over the time, especially when the mind is not able to cut across where when you see what is wholesome and you do not know what you place something which is wholesome, and then it becomes the attachment, the greed, the so-called worldly happiness becomes the primary thing. That is dangerous. That the faith is, not to say it's not there, but it becomes lacking. It becomes at the behind, So that's why all these type of things is happening. That the faith cannot grow. Instead of it growing more of a greed in a certain worldly sense, So therefore, it is important to place the faith to the front again. To place that faith to the front rather than just all this type of happiness or worldly type of happiness. Because the worldly type of happiness, behind it, there's a lot of attachment. That is for us to think about. To think about those type of things. So that that is something for us to think about. Of course, within the circle of Buddhism, circle of devotees in the temple, some people like to do offerings in the sense of like robes. Sometimes people like to give service to the temple. Sometimes because they are good in like arranging flowers, for example. They like to arrange the flowers in front of the Buddha statue and so on. And that also is good, not to say it's bad. It's a skill they put into good use, and so on. That is something wholesome. But then there are those people also like on last Wednesday, things become irrational because sometimes they over-attach to something, like attached to the Buddha Rupa or attached to the amulet, which is, do you know the amulet, the sampo, sometimes they have all this, the Buddha's image or a monk's image there, and carve into it, or sometimes a bowl, like the whole face is like sticking out from the amulet. So they attach to those type of things, and then when they attach to those type of things, especially we see those things that it becomes like in especially in Thailand, they believe that these type of things that they can protect them from bad things, worldly things, or from black magic and so on, there may be some truth into it, not to say there's not, but more often than not, sometimes the irrational becomes too much. Sometimes they believe that the bullet will not go through them. The bullet may not go through them because they have that type of sampo. Sometimes it's hard to. Sometimes you see, they place in the faith that sometimes they believe that there are some devas reside in that amulet. So when they wear that amulet, they kind of like represent that deva or some kind of special deva. And so happen if the black magic were to come or the bullet were to come, it kind of like, it go another way that you become protected. For example, like some of us also, we take those things we put on in our car, we hang it there. We hang it there so that we want to avoid all these accidents and so on, bad people, and in a certain way, not to say that it is bad, but the problem is that most people, they over attach to it. They begin to believe in these things rather than mentally develop the mind. They believe in having those things to protect themselves. So the Buddhists, we as a Buddhist, as a practicing Buddhist, we must place the Dhamma in the front. That the Dhamma is the protector, not the objects of faith is the protector. So therefore we cannot. So sometimes it's hard for us to separate these things. Sometimes if you're able to see it, but you see that your own loved ones are doing it and so on, sometimes it's very difficult to tell them. They won't listen to you. They think, who do you think you are? It's very difficult for us to tell them. So this type of faith, I say that this type of faith, it can be very easily muddled by craving and attachment. Now, once you attach to it, that is where your ego comes up. Your ego comes up, then you feel that you are well protected because of these things, because of you have this Buddha Rupa, you have this one, then you think that you are going to this, you're going to have all the luck is going to come in, your karma will be sweet already, all very nice already, everything will not harm you and so on. So that is how we place the trust in the wrong things. Then we are supposed to place the trust in the Dhamma, but we place the trust into this type of things. So if we cannot look across these two things, then it's easy for us to attach to all these worldly things. So that is where when they begin to attach, they begin to have usually begins with over faith. They begin to believe and begin to have strong confidence into it, but they don't realize it that behind it, slowly, the attachment has crept in. They begin to have those things. Even the person who arranged the flowers and so on, they don't believe that the flowers protect them or anything. But the ego also can still start coming in, because when you do these things beautiful, nice, people say, oh, so nice and so beautiful, and then your ego also become bengkak already, starts to inflate. When it starts to inflate, now every year so you want to do, if it's decoration for the flower, you will bow already, you will do it already. That is your job already. People know flower, that is her. It's that person already. So do something like, for example, not only the flowers, but also the cooking and so on. It's also the same thing that if they cook this one well, it so happen if the monk say it's ho liao, every meal he comes, she will bring that particular dish. He thought that the monk like it so much, Monk cannot say the food is ho liao. Monk cannot say that. I mean, it's not right also. But also, if you say that, the devotee thinks that you love to eat that every meal, every time you see the devotee, you see her, you see the dish already. So because they place the faith in their cooking, and now they know that their cooking is right, and of course they can cook well, but somehow or another if you're not careful, it become ego. It become attachment. You think that you are good in doing all these type of things. So you be careful. You be careful, because all these things behind it, when attachment comes in, then the ego comes in. So this also, if you are not careful, like certain things which is again more dangerous on that, and like the amulet, when you begin to lose the sense of faith, lose that sense of which you don't really know it, because your delusion and your ego starts to come in to attach to it, and you think that you are protected, you are wonderful, and so on. And somehow or another, if you happen to have certain accident or anything, then you find that yourself, you don't get all these things. Others may get it, you don't get it, Then you begin to believe that this thing actually work. You begin to believe that this amulet is working, this chanting is working, or somebody or some monks give you some holy water or holy thread and so on. It is working, or some holy mantra that you have received. This is working. This is protecting me already. There's no doubt about it anymore. That means you're not only faith, but you are already gone into wrong view, and you're already attached to that wrong view already. Then attachment to the wrong view, then you will have unwholesome effect later on. So they believe into this type of things, and this is dangerous. This is dangerous. For those who are, where is it? Okay. Now those who have lack of faith, those who are lack of faith, that means, let's say they are still Buddhist. They are still Buddhist, and let's say that they have all these texts and all this sutta, and they know the Abhidhamma, they know the sutta, even know the Vinaya and chanting and so on. And they are good Dhamma speakers, and they have a group of followings and so on. And sometimes this one can lead to skeptical doubt. They can lead to skeptical doubt and also conceit. Usually, I've seen Buddhist devotees who are already like 30, 40 years already. They're already like 70 years old and so on. And then when the monks come, and this is not just me alone, this is a group of Sangha, we were having our lunch. Yes, one of the temple in Malaysia, in Penang, and we're having our lunch, And this person supposed to be a Dhamma speaker and a group of, and also got followings. When the monks is chanting, Namo Tassa and 5 precept and we do Metta Sutta and transfer merits and all that. That person will not kneel down. He will not sit down. He will stand. He will stand. He will stand. Then he will stand. And he thinks that because he got his Dhamma, then he's equivalent or higher than the monks. There are people like that. Not many, but because those people who have a lot of this type of knowledge also says not many already, but they think that some people in an extreme sense, they think that they are more more wiser than the monks. They are more noble than the monks. So therefore, I will not bow down to the monks. That is how the lacking of faith, confidence in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, then they don't have those things. Or there are monks also, out of conceit. The conceit may comes in because that the monk thinks that although he is junior, he is junior, and there are monks who are more senior than him, and the more senior monks may not have all these worldly qualifications, because in the monks' world also, the qualifications, especially what you read and what level of study that you have gone through and so on. And then with that, sometimes they give you certain dato-ship, certain title. Give you a certain title, and you think that you have those titles. And the most senior monks don't have those titles, and you think that you're better than them, and then therefore you say, what for I must go and pay respect to this type of monks? This type of monks they are idle, they are not doing meditation, and here I am, I have to go through all the study and I've gone through all the exams, how difficult those exams are, and therefore, why should I go and pay respect to this type of monks? The ego arises out of attachment to the Dhamma. So here, the faith becomes lacking. The faith becomes lacking, and then it is not wisdom anymore. This is turned into conceit already. They turn into conceit. So one has to be careful. One has to be careful that sometimes not only just this type of monks or study, but also happens to meditators too. Sometimes meditators thought that some meditators if those of you who are in a long-term meditation, or you plan to become to become a yogi in the long term, you got to be careful, because when you develop this type of meditation, you have to use a lot of wisdom, and your wisdom is developing sharp, clear, stable. You can penetrate into things that a lot of people cannot understand. Then, therefore, because of your attachment to these type of things, then when you come up to the everyday life, everyday society, that means you are not meditating anymore. Then you may think that this type of holy threads, all these things not important. This holy water, all these things is not important. What for? All these type of things. You criticize people who have some Buddha rupa or some amulets, and then you criticize again and again. These people know how to do dana only. They nothing else. They come and meditate. They don't know. You see, I'm a meditator. They only know how to dana and nothing else already. That is how our conceit becomes so strong. And so much so that sometimes there are meditators. I've mentioned in the past talks also, that there are meditators who group among themselves only. And they think that they group among themselves. They don't want to mix with other people who are doing all these type of things. And they look down on them. They don't want to sort of associate with them also. And this is not good. This is your ego. Your ego becomes stronger than your wisdom. Your skeptical doubt, you're doubting all these things which is wholesome, you're doubting this this thing which is for others, it is important. It may not be important for you, but you cannot go down to their level to look at it. You're always so high, then you don't see these things as important to them. It may not be important to you, but to them, it's not important. And then again, they are again on the opposite one. Sometimes the overfaith one, also they can become very conceited and criticize those people who have more faith also. Because sometimes, for example, those people who have a lot of, they practice and so on, even sometimes in their kuti or in their meditation places, they don't have Buddha Rupa, they don't have all these paraphernalia or objects and so on, nothing. And then when there are other monks come in or other devotees come in, they come in, they look at this kuti or this place. How come it's not really like kuti one? How come it's not really like a monks that is staying? How come there's no Buddha Rupa? How come there's no this and no that, Because to them, those people with faith, they look at these things because this object is important to them. This object is kind of like signify the whole, Buddhism to them, But those people who have a different way of looking at things, people more of a wisdom type, they don't need all those things. But this wisdom type, perhaps they have more books on books on the table, books here and there. So this is something like this. So therefore, those people with over faith then that will be good that sometimes we, every now and then, as much as all the dana that you are doing, we must build up also on listening to the Dhamma talks or reading also on the proper text, or proper Dhamma talks. This one is to balance our understanding, to balance our understanding together with the faith. Even this one is not a faculty. This is not a faculty, but you still need to balance them. Because if you don't balance them in a way, it can lead to, skeptical doubt, or it can lead to irrational attachment, not unrational, sometimes irrational reasoning and so on. So you need to have Dhamma talks. You need to come at least develop the mind. You need to come to develop the mind in order to balance this strong faith of yours. This strong faith. I said most people they have this strong faith, so it is not. So they need to have that type of balance. Those people with lack of faith, I mean is that those people who have a lot of more wisdom type, more thinking type, more reflective type. Now, lack of faith also can also mean you have no wisdom also. Some you lack, but you also have a lot of wrong view, a lot of other type of view. That means you don't even have wisdom. So therefore, that time the mind is full of defilements rather than balancing. You don't have much of anything. So balancing, that means that you need some. Something is too much, then you need to balance it a little bit. It's to increase something a little bit, Dhamma a little bit, in order for us to understand. Now, let us go on to the second one. The second one is called the Okappana Saddha, the trusting type of faith, the bhavana faith, the bhavana type of saddha, you cultivated type of saddha. And here, this one comes in when you developed the mind through samatha practice and also vipassana practice. These two practices, when you develop them, then this can fall under wholesome practice. But also in this type of this one does not mean that every form of meditation is right, if you're going to practice all the wrong type of practice, then it may not be the type of saddha. If sometimes some people practice with, they want to see the God, they want to see the Brahma, they want to end up with some plane of existence and so on. That is not really the type of faith again, because that one leads to wrong view or can lead to unwholesomeness. Here, it leads to wholesomeness and it leads to out of samsara, which is number 3, which is you go out of samsara, the attainment faith. So, but this type it falls under, again, you have to fall under within the scope of the Noble Eightfold Path. We have to fall in the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, what is faith when it comes to mental development? Here, when the faith comes in your meditation practice, this is where that skeptical doubt, especially all these mental impurities and thoughts and so on, it is not able to touch you. Not able to touch you, and your mind is clear from all these things. When it's clear, your mind with the other faculties, it can able to examine, it can able to be concentrated, energy will come in because the mind is clear. This type of clarity of the mind, is that sometimes when you meditate, you notice your objects of your meditation, whether it's rising, falling, or whether it's in breath, out breath. And then sometimes in the beginning part of it, when you are noting it, your mind is like not clear, blur. Object is there, but not really there, not really there. And then there are thoughts coming in, they are just not clear, So you are patient with it for a while, you are patient, and then after that, it becomes clearer. The object becomes clearer and clearer. After that, you can able to notice the in-breath, out-breath very clearly, or the rising and falling very clearly for a short period of time. And then that time, all this blurriness, fogginess, all these thoughts and all these sometimes, floating thoughts, the type of floating thoughts is just passing through a little bit, pass through, then come in a little bit, sound come in, that coming, that kind of like little busyness of the mind, slight restlessness of the mind. It does not really disturb your noting, it does not really you can still see an object, but it kind of like surrounded with all thinking and blurry, not so clear, That when a yogi notice it. But when the mindfulness become continuous, things become clear, then the whole object of your noticing becomes very prominent and very interesting. That is where your faith comes in. Your faith becomes clear to you. Usually this is at the background. What is in the foreground is you're noting, you're scrutinizing the object. You're able to see the object clearly and this way or that way and so on. So usually all blend together. It's not so easy to notice the faith. It's usually the wisdom or the concentration is there. So you practice. Now you practice and so on. Your mind becomes more clearer. Over time, as I said, let's say your sitting meditation. You begin your sitting meditation when you begin to develop this state of mind. it only can able to last you maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Then you cannot take it anymore because the pain or because the thinking mind, you have to get up. You can't go on further. But over time, you keep on practicing. Over time, you keep on practicing. Your mind can able to stretch to half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours. You can able to stretch longer and longer, which is good, which is wonderful. This is also not only you can stretch longer, but what is more important than that, that your progress, your actual mental development already starts. That means when you start, especially like in the Vipassana, the whole Vipassana starts when you can able to see the nature, the Nama and Rupa. You can able to distinct the Nama and Rupa. You can able to able to discern, to have a distinctive clarity on what is Nama and what is Rupa, what is mentality and what is materiality. For example, you can notice the in-breath, out-breath very clearly. In-breath, out-breath. and yet at the same time, you can notice the mind that knows the in-breath, out-breath clearly. So it not happen once, but it happened again and again for a while. You can able to notice these things. But for example, you notice the pain. The pain is very painful, pulling and stretching and moving here and there. And yet, you're noting mind, and yet you know that the mind is looking at it. As if like you are stepping out. Hey, here is the noting mind, here is the pain, that you know that it is looking at this. Wow. Then after some time you go gag out, who is looking at these two? Then it become 3-person. It cannot be. Sometimes we think too much, we think too much. The problem is that we think too much. No. Here, when a yogi able to notice these things clearly, which is so wonderful, sometimes for them to able to come into, able to distinguish these things, it takes a lot of effort. Sometimes it takes retreat after retreat after retreat. For some, not them, no, I wouldn't say all. For some, it takes a retreat after retreat just to see this distinction between what is Nama and Rupa. But some yogis within a retreat, within 2 weeks or 10 days, they can able to see this Nama and Rupa. That means, both of them start from zero, they have no Vipassana meditation experience before. But there are some people can go faster and some people slower. Now, sometimes these people who are quite slow, because they put in a lot of effort to practice. They put in a lot of effort to practice, and then they achieve some result, which is good, which is wonderful. Which is sadhu to them. It takes a lot of effort. This is where, if they are not careful, then the overfaith may start coming in. And And then if they, let's say they practice and practice, and then they can see this rising and falling very clearly, the mind noticing it very clearly, or they see the pain very clearly, or sometimes they can be able to notice the walking in this way, and then the mind that is looking at the walking process, they can be able to distinguish in different ways. Then they become very happy. And although the mind is very clear, they are still able to be very happy. But then, because of their happiness, they stop their meditation. They go in front of the Buddha. Buddha comes here, Buddha. Thank you so much. You're wonderful. Your Dhamma is. I never know that I can able to do that. So I'm so thankful to you. Stop. Then what is it right now? That means right now you are overcome by your faith. You're supposed to carry on the meditation, but this time you stop your meditation and you go and thank the Buddha, or you have gratitude to the Buddha. You may see that, hey, what's wrong with that? They must say, oh, this one also, this is good, this is also wholesome, this is wholesome, this is wholesome. So what is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. You may think, but no, it's something wrong with it, because here your application of your faith is at the wrong. It's not a suitable faith. You're supposed to go further into the meditation, which you are supposed to develop the faculty of faith more, but you bring it down one step into serenity type of faith. You go and pray like that, after that you woke up, and then after you want to offer the Buddha, or in front there you want to start chanting and so on, wholesome, but you bring yourself down into doing these things rather than you're supposed to carry on further into the noting and noting and noting further, into further noticing, and then you will progress further. Sometimes the momentum is good, but because you are overwhelmed by your faith, you stop the meditation and you go this one. That's why I say, not you at that occasion, it is not the suitable type of faith. Rather than wrong, rather than wrong, you cannot say that it's wrong, because both also is wholesome, but the faculty type of faith you should develop further. And that is, a lot of people have that, because as you grow further into the meditation development, then the mind becomes even more subtle, or the mind becomes sharper, and not only that, sometimes the happiness comes in. The happiness due to your progress will come in, And this type of yogis, when they have progress, they develop strong faith. Even you tell them don't come back to retreat, they will still come back to retreat, because they see the result. Here, the one of the things is that I make sure yogis make sure that they progress, because once they progress, the faith comes in. They know how to come back to meditate. They know how to take up the practice, even though it's difficult. But along the way, that is where sometimes they can have over faith. They can have a lot of over faith, and then it can become vipassana upakilesa. Vipassana upakilesa. Just before we all go, I'll just share this thing a little bit. Oh, this one. Wait. I have to change my this one to. I got to stop the sharing, and then I come in again. Can you see vipassana upakilesa? Okay, we talked about this before in the past, We talked about this before in the past. And then you see here, number 5, resolution, adhimokkha, all right? This resolution, that means your faith and the adhimokkha, which is last week I talked about, when it both comes together, they become strong, they become powerful. And if you are not careful with this type of faith, it can start to make you go on into you push you into the serenity type of faith rather than the faculty of faith. So here, sometimes they meditate because of their development has come in, or they think that they can able to sit longer, or the samatha practice has gone further. Then they begin to see Buddha, or they begin to see the temple, or they begin, because of their faith, they thought that they can able to see the monk far away, Although all these things is just a projection of the mind only, but if they are not careful, then these objects also, because they think of the Buddha, they thought that they can able to see the Buddha or they can see the monk and so on. They become attached to this type of things. Rather than, again, you're supposed to notice your object of your meditation in breath out, breath rising, falling the pain. But you begin to get involved into those things. You become to involve into those things. Then after that, you think that, oh, I got some special power already. Then your conceit comes in and you begin to have attachment to these type of things. You think you have a special power already, You think that you have, because you can be able to see the monk far away, although this is just a creation of the mind because of your faith. It's just a creation of the mind. And then you can attach to those type of belief. Then you think that you have some divine eye already. Abhinya already, Then this is dangerous. This is dangerous. When you believe, and then of course, when you believe the ego is all there. So sometimes there are devotees also the same thing. When they meditate, they can able to have progress, and then they feel happy about their progress. They feel wonderful about their progress. So after that, they will start thinking, okay, now I go back after the retreat, after all this meditation, I must call all my cucu and my Anna and my daughters and my son and my husband and my wife and my grandfather and my grandma all come together and meditate. You begin to start planning along the way of meditation. You want them to experience the wholesome things that you are experiencing, but you are actually forgetting about your own meditation object. You start to more like thinking about those things. You start planning about those things. Although that type of thought is still a wholesome thought, but again, it's gone into another type of, the lower type of faith. You're not developing the faculty of faith. The faith that comes with the mental development. So if a yogi is not able to understand these things, or you don't have a proper teacher to guide you, most of the time yogis, they will attach to this type of faith, this type of lower type of faith. They think that they have these powers. They think that they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to do everything, except meditation. Everything wholesome, not to say it's bad, but everything is still wholesome. All those things are still wholesome. So you think about it, you just be careful. As I said, this kind of faculty, they are not really in the sense of wrong. It's just a sense of what is suitable and what is not suitable at that moment of time, especially when it comes to the faculty. Okay, so we'll stop here, and we are not finished with this faculty yet. We're going to continue on this faculty a little bit more when maybe on Wednesday. Okay, so we stop here for tonight. All right.